Hello, fellow readers and booktubers. This is the My Book Confessions tag. It originated from Book Reviews with Becky. I'm not sure exactly how it came my way. I don't know who tagged me. I may have been tagged by more than one person. I suspect, probably some of the usual suspects are in there somewhere. Pat from Book Chat with Pat, Kevin Toll Reads. Although I'm not saying for sure they tagged me. I think it was tagged by a number of people. This one is making the rounds because it's very popular and it's kind of fun. So let's just get right into it. My Book Confessions tag, prompt number 1. What is an unpopular book opinion / preference you have? I have an opinion. I don't know if it's really an unpopular opinion, but it's certainly a minority view. And that's the idea that a book should never be DNF'd. If you begin a book, you should finish it. I've heard all the arguments. I've even posted on this before. I guess maybe in there are certain exceptions where a book, you should DNF a book if it's written very poorly or I guess a couple of other reasons. But I think that is something that should be very rarely done. If you begin a book, you should give the author a chance to make his case right to the bitter end. So, and I know that that's a fairly, if not an unpopular view, a minority view of mine. Number 2, has your reading taste changed over the years? I've got a lot of years, and I've been reading from a pretty young age, so yeah, my taste has changed a lot. Into my adult years, I used to like to read a lot of series type stuff, science fiction, mysteries, adventures, this kind of thing. And I really have moved away from that quite a bit. Every now and then I'll read some science fiction again, and I don't know, either there's no good science fiction being written anymore, which I doubt, or maybe I've just kind of moved a little past that. And I read a lot more nonfiction than I used to. So, yeah, my reading taste has changed. I think that's true for everybody. If you're a dedicated reader, the things that excited you or interested you, say 20 years ago, it doesn't work anymore. You need something else. 3, what genre do you read to get out of a book slump? If I'm in a book slump, I like to read collections of essays, memoirs, particularly writers who they'll write a book about the joys of reading. And that will kind of re-spark my love of reading as well. So those are the kinds of genres. Memoirs by by book readers, fellow book readers. So that will always get me out of the slump. What are some of your automatic buy authors? Well, I understand Thomas Pynchon's got a new novel coming out soon, and I'll buy that one the first day it hits the shelves. I won't think twice about it. I guess if they were to find a lost manuscript by Kurt Vonnegut or Ray Bradbury or Ken Kesey or people like that, I would automatically buy those. I'm trying to think of some current authors, and in the area of nonfiction, Mary Beard and Tom Holland. Both of those are historians. They focus a lot on ancient history, particularly Roman history. I scoop up their books without a second thought. It's just, of course, Mary Beard's got a new book, I'm buying it. Tom Holland, where do I sign? Send it over right away. But in terms of fiction, I don't know if there's any fiction writers right now that have really got me in their grip. But in nonfiction, yeah, there are some really great historians doing some wonderful work out there. Number 5, how many chances do you give an author before you won't try them again? Boy, I don't know. I don't really keep score on an author. It's more what the book is about. If I read a novel by an author and I didn't like the novel, and if that author then comes out with another novel later on, my reaction will be, well, what's he talking about this time? What's the story this time? And if it's a story that seems like it would interest me, I'll buy it, even though that author's previous novel didn't excite me too much. So it's not so much the author, it's what's being written about that makes that decision for me. So, every authors have their bad days, and I try not to hold that against them. Number 6, Do you have anything you like to do or listen to while you read? Occasionally I'll play music. If I do, it's classical music and it's very soft in the background. Sometimes I'll listen to jazz. I can't listen to popular music or rock and roll, rock music when I'm reading because it divides my attention. If it's a song that I particularly like, as I'm trying to read, I'm also find myself subconsciously almost trying to sing along with the tune, and that's very distracting to me. So it's got to be largely instrumental music and classical music or jazz, something where the music can be enjoyed for itself or can be enjoyed as kind of an ambient thing. But mostly I like silence when I read. And I would like to really give the book my all, and I don't like my consciousness or my attention to be distracted by anything else. As the other part of this question, what do you like to do while you read? I don't know what else you could do while you're reading. You're reading. That's what you're doing. The only thing I can think of here is, do you like to snack while you read? No, I'm a bit too fussy about my books. I don't want grease stains on the pages. Definitely wouldn't eat Cheetos while I'm reading a book. Leave orange fingerprints all over everything. I did notice a couple of people when they replied to this prompt, they were talking about it in terms of audiobooks. And when you're listening to an audiobook, you can be doing other things. I don't have a lot of experience with that. I don't really care for audiobooks, but I think if that's what you're reading, or that's what you're listening to, I guess there are a lot of things you could do with that. But for me, when I read, it's almost a monastic existence. I like it quiet. I like some peace, and I'm focusing on the business of reading. How far do you read before DNF'ing? As I mentioned before, I rarely DNF. I've even posted about this. I've made videos about this. I did one fairly recently about a book, A Demon Copperhead. I got about halfway through, and I almost DNF'd. It would have been for the first time in years and years that I did that, but I stuck with it, and I'm glad I did. So I can be very patient with an author. I always stand in awe of authors. Just the fact that anyone can write a book, that's an amazing thing. And I have great respect for people with that kind of talent and focus. So I'm not going to pitch their book if it doesn't, entertain me in the first 10 pages or the first 20 pages or the first 100 pages. I'll stick with it. So, I'm very patient with authors, and I'll stick with them. So, prompt number 8. Do you ever find yourself making the same faces as the characters in the book? I don't know. No. Sometimes I'll get an attitude. If there's a character in a book that I'm reading who I find particularly appealing because the character is really outspoken. When I put the book down, I'll find myself being a little more outspoken than usual. Or if someone's very sophisticated and witty, when I put the book down, I'll try to act sophisticated and witty. As far as making faces, I don't know that I do. That's a great question, only because I don't know how to answer it. But it's so interesting. Number 9, rereading. Yes, no, depends. I reread all the time. I've even posted about this a number of times. Yes, I reread the classics. I reread the great histories, great poetry. Poetry is made to be read again and again, so I certainly do reread. And then the always popular number 10 prompt, tag other booktubers, which I will do. If you tagged me and I'm tagging you back, that just happens all the time. If I don't tag you, just assume that you have been tagged. So anyway, this is the My Confessions book tag. I like this one. Thank you, Becky at Book Reviews with Becky. And that's what I've got for you today. Be safe and never stop reading.